Hello, 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 hello. Hope everybody's doing all right. I'm Tom. Welcome to the Code Zone live stream, and I'm joined by Ant. How is everybody doing? How are you doing, Ant? You good?
I'm very well. I'm
Good,
very
good.
well. I've had a lot of fun on this week's game, which, of course, these guys will see a lot more next week. But today's all
Ah,
about cops and robbers.
are you? Hang on. Are you referring to the game that was started up yesterday and that is going to be continuing for the next couple of days?
Yes, I am. I
Skeleton
am.
Scuffle. I was hoping that it would open up our. It's one of those games. Every now and again, I'll throw in a game where I'm like, fingers crossed, some people will take this and run with it for maybe a couple of weeks. Just spend a little bit of extra time on it, or take mechanics from it and add it into things that are going to take a little bit longer. You know what I mean?
I do. I do. I can see that happening this week because I think it's a very popular type of game. It's something I would play,
Yes,
and
yes,
this is a lot of fun.
indeed, indeed. But we will talk more about that next week. For now, let us talk about last week's game, Cops and Robbers, and this one. So, Cops and Robbers. The aim of the game was, and I'll because this is Ben's project from one of the IRL clubs. He has added in a little hack that comes into play a little bit later on. But let's just test out the game nice and simply first. You are the robber controlled by a mouse pointer. Collect the gem and then run to one of the exits, and you've got to avoid the guard, which is in red. Now it's nice and simple at the earlier levels, but for the sake of making it a little bit harder, I'm gonna steal this gem and then we'll just do a little bit of cheating. You might be able to hear the siren going. Okay, it's fine. But you can see there are now two guards in the game. I'm just going to shrink us both so we can see all the corners of the games. And Ben has done. Let's just test this out. So Ben was doing something very funny where he was taking the level. In fact, over here, he was starting it on level 20. So when we run the code,
Okay.
there are 20 cards immediately. Or, you could crank that number up to a ridiculous, ridiculous amount if you wanted as well. So you end up with tons and tons of guards, and it can sometimes lag your game completely.
That's something I never thought of.
Yep. Hit it there, give it a second. It will probably end up lagging in a moment at some point. But, I mean, it's practically impossible at this point. There you go, and it's lagging. Too many guards. It's gone haywire. So I found that was one of the better hacks that I've seen, just to completely break it. Take a legitimate difficulty curve mechanic and just go right at higher levels. The game is literally impossible. Add like in a max level essentially. So yeah, that's some of the things. I also saw another really cool one in the in-person clubs, but this one again kind of makes it very difficult. Can you see a guard in that picture anywhere, Ant?
Unless it's hiding below my webcam there, no, I cannot.
Which
Oh,
one is the
is
guard
this?
and which one is the real gem?
Oh,
The guard is now the gem. So the guard has it's like hidden. So Abigail removed, and I think Hattie did the same thing in one of the clubs. They removed the movement code for the guard, put the gem costume on the guard, and then put the gem and put the guard in a random position as well as the gem. So you got a 50-50 chance of picking up the correct gem. So I'm gonna guess it's no, wrong one.
oh,
Wrong one. So there you go. So that's another weird. Basically what I like is just I saw a couple of weird little ones that just kind of break the game a little bit. And one of my favorite parts of that is you see these ones being done, and then they'll get somebody else in the club to come and test the game. Like, oh yeah, this is a functioning game. Come and test my game. It'll be absolutely fine. And then they come over and it's just like 200 guards, or there's no guard, and
mayhem.
you're actually looking for the wrong thing or whatever. I love it. Just weird little
And then
things
they
like that.
laugh maniacally.
Exactly. So they're the sort of weird things we've been getting up to in the in-person clubs. How how have the online clubs been going? Should we have a little look at some of the projects from there? So,
Absolutely.
whose is this one? What, a dog? I think I saw.
That sounds like Anthony's game.
Nice. Should we have a look? Let's. Oh yeah,
I was a big fan of this. It's something that just fit the theme. There's lots of fun, and the dog looks cute.
I've
It's
just
a dog.
I've just hidden up some of the variables, so you can see over here on the. I'm gonna zoom in on the whole thing. If you ever have your variables popping up all over your screen and you don't want them, when you create a new variable, they'll pop up on the screen. You can just untick the name of the variable in the variables section and get rid of it. It'll disappear from your screen, so you can see everything a little bit better. In this game, we only really need one variable showing up, and that's the level. So we can untick everything else. So got them rid of that. We can see the game a little bit easier now. Cleaner UI. Let's see. So, oh, look at that. There's a little dog attached to the guard. So let's see if I. Oh my goodness, the dog follows the guard. The player even. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love it. That is brilliant. So when you get the
that was
gem,
a lot of fun to help him out with.
oh my goodness, that is brilliant. I love that. That is absolutely brilliant.
Every guard needs a good dog.
Exactly. I see he's done multiple guards as well at higher levels, things like that. I love it. I love that as a dog. Adding in a dog, absolutely brilliant addition. Absolutely brilliant addition. All games should include dogs. Please add more good dogs to all games. That is my request. See how many dog-related hacks you can add.
Agreed.
Awesome.
Agreed.
What else do we have? And that's actually, no, you know what? I'm going to have a look at this code real quick because I'm intrigued. So, touching player, stop all, gem collected, switch costume to costume 2. So you got a costume where it's on a lead, and then you got a costume where it's not on a lead. Makes sense.
Well, look at the eyes between those two costumes.
Oh, it's happy, and then it's
Happy
angry.
dog? Angry dog.
That is a nice little attention to detail. That is, yeah, that's a brilliant, that's some brilliant attention to detail. Adding in a little thing like that, and it includes one of my favorite blocks.
That's one of your.
That is my favorite. I think that's my favorite.
Whinge block. Every single time that block comes up. As great as that block is, it is. I think for brand new coders, it is a nightmare to find. So every time that block comes up, I'm like, guys, what's my least favorite block? And they're like, oh, I know where to find it.
Okay. Yes. Do you want to? I think I know what your problem is with it. I think I understand where you're coming from. Would you like to elaborate a little bit, just so it doesn't seem like you're just unnecessarily throwing shade at some scratch blocks?
It's just one particular block. Everything, I love Scratch dearly, but there's one block that always starts as backdrop of stage, which it can throw some off a little bit. So my coders are all well versed in this one block because we go through it in detail. But it is it's frustrating because it's arguably the most useful block. Yes,
that's why I love it. But I completely agree. It is a little bit confusing to find, and it took me a while to find it and start using it. But when you find it, it is such a useful block,
like vitally essential.
Yes,
for almost anything cool, and that's why I instantly get all my coders. I'm like, first things first, we're going to learn a little bit about this little thing over here.
Yeah. Nobody in your hack clubs ever forgets it because you go on about it almost every week and just make such a big song and dance out about it. Just like, if there is one thing you will know, it is where to find this darn block.
I am very deliberate to get my coders to learn this block from the get-go.
It is a super useful block. So, for reference, right? So it's hidden away in sensing. And we might be looking for direction of guard. It's hidden away in sensing, right? So we'll find, you can see there's a square, like a sort of square shape drop down there and a circle shape, capsule shape drop down there. So we click on backdrop here, and there's no direction. That is because there is no direction on the stage, right? The stage is different to all our sprites. So I pick up this block, just drag it in here. So click on it, no direction, right? What you've got to do is actually flip it on its head and swap. You've got to choose the right-hand drop-down first before you choose the left-hand drop-down. And that's what makes it a little bit hard to find, because you've got to flip it on its head. It's probably one of the most useful blocks, because all of a sudden we can go guard, and then we can get the direction of the guard. We can get that piece of information about the guard sprite in another sprite with one block, but it is sometimes a little bit hard to find. So we do direction of guard. Is actually guard's direction is the way you've got to think about it. Think of it flipped on its head. I won't pretend to understand linguistics and what it's called when it's the other way around and the ownership thing, but that is, yeah. Find your sprite,
What I do love,
then
though,
find its
is
attribute.
while I do whinge about this block, it being there and it existing in Scratch is so cool. I was talking to someone about this the other day, because these children are learning the fundamentals of object-oriented programming
Yes.
through this.
Yeah.
And that is so cool,
Mm-hmm.
because, in some cases, object-oriented programming is taught at university, but the fundamentals are here.
Here's your object,
you learn
your
this,
sprite.
and the logic carries on. You've learnt the logic, the fundamentals.
Exactly. So exactly. So all of a sudden, it's when you're doing, you've got your object, your sprite, and then it's got an attribute attached to it that you can access using this. Exactly. You're bang on. And that is as well where it's a super powerful block. It is just a little bit hard to find the first couple of times, and then once you remember it, all of a sudden you're flying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I just realised we've spent a good deal of time talking about one particular block there.
No, but it's a really important block. It's probably one of the most important blocks in Scratch. It's probably one of the. It's one of those little ones that just smashes up it opens up a whole new set of stuff you can do. A whole new set of stuff. But moving swiftly on, this is one that Callum shared with me. This is Ollie's, and honestly, this is Cops and Robbers. And I can only describe it as Cops and Robbers Steam Ready Edition. Because if I went on Steam right now, or the Google Play Store or whatever, downloaded this game, I'd be satisfied. Yeah. I mean, look at this. Look at the aesthetic. Look at the aesthetic already. Look at the detail on the sprites, the pixel art shadow. So it's Cops and Robbers, but your player has a shadow following them around. And I don't know how well you can see it, but there's multiple guards, and there's your pile of gold you have to collect. There are multiple guards, and then as well, even the exit looks absolutely gorgeous. Can you see at the top there? The sort of
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It looks...
How is this fob working?
Beautiful.
Is that a sprite with a hole in it, a transparent hole in it, that has a ghost effect on it that's following the player?
Yes, so we look at the costume. I had a little chat about this with Callum the other day, because funnily enough, he was helping Ollie, and they were having a little chat about some stuff like this. Funnily enough, it actually comes up, a very similar mechanic comes up in Skeleton Scuffle this week, with the movement of the floor to make the scrolling image. So here's our sprite, big sprite, small hole. You might be able to tell already that if we compare, so that is the same size, that stage, that whole thing there is the same size as this image here, right? And you might be able to tell already that hole is bigger than that hole. That is because we're doing some clever things with the size of that sprite. That attribute is being fiddled around with there. So if we head back to the code real quick, what is going on is, and we'll talk about this maybe we'll talk this through next week when we talk about it in Skeleton Scuffle. There are some clever things where we're tricking Scratch. Bigger sprites, bigger costumes have smaller maximum sizes they can be set to in that number. Smaller costumes have larger maximum sizes they can be set to in that number, right? Makes sense, okay? But here you can trick Scratch by swapping to a small costume, upping the size number, then swapping back to the same to a big costume, and all of a sudden a big costume can have a size that it shouldn't have. Thus,
That I didn't know.
you can create some lovely sliding and scrolling, which is what this is taking advantage of here. You have I look at how lovely and smooth this is. Look at that. Like, there's not there's no little bit where it disappears at the edge. If we go right over to the edge here, it's not like you're losing it over on the left hand side of the screen. We can talk about it in a bit more detail next time. Have a little look at it in Skeleton Scuffle because it also is going on
I
there.
have to put on my glasses. Were the eyes moving?
I think it's when you face the direction you're facing in.
Oh, for some reason I thought they were moving up and down, but it looks fantastic.
It does. It
And the enemies
absolutely
are
does.
changing direction as well.
It absolutely does. The other thing that I love about it, I don't know how well it'll come through on your screen, but actually, the other little thing that it seems Ollie has done is this shadow is a little bit transparent, a little bit transparent. So when he used the fill tool, on the fill tool, he will have if you use the fill. So click on the bucket here, click on fill, and if you click on this one here, this last one here, you can actually set one of them to blank to no fill, which means you can get a gradient of like you can create like a little. Actually, he probably is doing with this with the ghost effect, but this is another way you can do the transparency. Is you can have like a transparency in the center bit, so you can actually have half your image transparent and have a gradient towards transparency. But I think actually now I think about it, this will be done with the ghost effect. But that, like, there's a little bit of transparency. It just gives that player that little, they have a little edge. They might see a flicker in the corner of their eye and just be like, oh, got to move out of the way. It's that sort of, those little bits that make all the difference.
Touches.
But that is absolutely gorgeous game. I love it.
It really is.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Awesome.
I'd personally argue better than the vast majority of the new releases on my Steam page recently.
Let's not get completely sidetracked. Because, I mean, well, you're a much more capable game reviewer than myself, but you'll get me complaining for hours if you don't wind me up. Just don't crank me up and just I'll be going. I'll be moaning for ages. Let's not go down this path. It's not worth it. We've not got the time. Real quick. So we've got two more Ottleys. And now, have you played this? Do you know how to play it? Everyone was taught. I've not had a chance to play it. I know a couple of the other mentors were saying you have to have a go at this, and I've just not had the chance yet.
I haven't had a chance to play this one yet.
Okay.
Once again, I've been told to.
Okay. I mean, it's already got a start menu, and it's clearly a horror game. So, oh, look at that! Look at that little light up button. Look at that. I don't know what it is about little like buttons, like the affordance that you get when you put your mouse on a button and it's like I am a button. I am letting you know that I am a button. Like I don't know what it is. I love it. Okay, I'm not sure how to play this. I guess I have to. Oh, I've fallen in the water and drowned. Not sure that's what I'm supposed to do. Let's see if I can get across the bridge. It's a house. Again. Now this is using, as I was saying a second ago, the transparency fill, and the gradient. This is using that on the camera. Oh my goodness, I'm being chased by, I don't know what that is. It's a spider. Oh no, I've been got. Oh no. Okay, you know what I'm gonna have to do? If I talk to I'll talk to Callum or whoever. I think Callum is Otley's mentor at the moment, and I'll find out how the game is played, and I'll find out how far along it is, and we'll come back to it and play it. And I'll also link the all the games down in the description below. I did that last week, but I'll link all the games in the description below so people can play the games themselves.
I'm going to check that one out because I just want to see
do a better job than me. Exactly. Everyone will do a better job than me, to be honest. But do have a look at that lighting code because that is some good lighting code. That is definitely some good lighting code. One last thing is this isn't a game, but it's you're doomed, Noah, has given us a the Mr. Frogbutt show. This is what
The
late
Mr.
night
Frogbutt show.
comedy should be. This is what late night talk shows should be, right? Move over Jimmy Kimmel. Move over Jimmy Fallon. Why are there so many Jimmys? Now I think about it. Move over Conan O'Brien. I'm just naming talk. I don't watch any of these shows.
Your personal favorite, James Corden. Don't forget your
Yes.
personal favorite, James Corden.
Replace them all with Mr. Frogbutt.
Oh yeah.
Like this, yeah. Mr. Tumble. So famous.
This has been shown in 2 clubs, as far as I'm aware, and it was a huge hit. No word of a lie. We had audible laughs coming from all corners of the video chat.
It's brilliant. Dennis the Menace. And of course, the best celebrity, Mr. Frogbutt. I love it.
It's the best celebrity.
I love it. It made me laugh a lot. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okie dokie. I reckon, on that note, I feel like I want to hand over to Mr. Frogbutt and let him do the wrap up.
I felt the urge to say, take it away, Mr. Frogbutt.
Yeah, exactly.
Take us home.
Play us out, Mr. Frogbutt. I'm desperate for like late night comedy now, like with Mr. Frogbutt. I'm desperate for that to be a thing. That's all I want in the world right now. That's all I want. But anyway, that's all we got time for. Thank you very much for joining me, Ant. They were some absolutely brilliant projects, as always. I'm so glad Cops and Robbers went down so well. Skeleton Scuffle this week, and we'll talk about it next week. Yeah. See everybody again soon. Thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye.